Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to show number 65 of This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing. I am one of your co-hosts, Lauren Gray, and with me is my other, much more better-looking, much smarter co-host, Mr. Edward
Robert Cole.
Oh, Robert Cole.
Me? Wow.
Well, I knew he wasn't talking about me.
He didn't say younger. So it was up in the air. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
And Mr. Robert Cole with Rock Cheetah. Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time.
And the old guy. Yeah.
And the old guy, how the screen lays up.
Build up to me is great, and then it's like, oh, and Robert Cole.
I'm so thankful you two invited me today. I want to tell you stories about the old days.
In 4 seasons, 4 score ago.
Right after we invented the wheel, changed everything.
Oh, I thought you were back when we had fire. I didn't know you're that young.
Oh, I'm not that old.
All right, gentlemen, we have a full roster of happiness. Mr. Tim Peter is out voting this morning. I did my early voting because I'm traveling. I'm actually down in in Florida next week, so I did my early voting this week. And he's doing it this morning. He said he might be running late depending upon the road record numbers, huh?
I'm going to vote late.
You're going to vote late? Yeah. You're going to follow Donald Trump's suggestion on the 28th? Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Oops.
Any of you happen to be running for president, by the way?
I should. There's a whole roster up there when I look at the list.
I'm happy to vote for one of you.
Yeah. No, actually, Texas, you cannot write in a vote. You have to be actually on the ballot. So but there are like 30 people down there.
And half of them.
I'm not exactly sure what the threshold is to get on there. I think you have to fill out a form.
Actually, you don't need voter ID. That's been repealed. You just have to show an electric bill. So,
my gosh.
Yeah, and I got to say that one benefit about being in Texas this whole season is that they just assume Texas is going to go Republican. So there's been hardly any political ads. But every time I go to Florida, right. Oh my God, Ed, you guys are saturated.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Now, like when I click on like interesting videos that I want to watch, like it's all Hillary Clinton ads.
Yeah.
Well, she has a lot more money. She has a lot more money than Trump, so she can afford it, right?
When you're secretly the queen of the United States, you can spend like that. I heard she was an alien.
You know, Darlene's with us, and she's more of a video personality than we are.
Darlene, I know, Darlene. Join in. Here, somebody invite her in. All of us do it at the same time and crash the application.
1, 2, 3. Invite.
She declined to broad.
Wow,
she does not want to hang with us today.
Oh, it's time to trash Leonardo. Okay.
Her camera's not hooked up.
No, actually, while Darlene is here, I want to what you did with Ed and the rest of the team. That was awesome. The summit was really good. I did the playback as well. I got half the live, and then I finished it off with the replay. It was really, 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 really good. And I hope there's more of them. You got another webinar coming up November 17th, too. Might as well. With Darlene with us, like, hey, let's go over. There's a 17th webinar that you're doing, too, because I think HSMI is pushing it around as well, that you have a webinar coming up.
Ed was a rock star.
He actually wore a wig.
Jim Morrison? I don't know. Mick Jagger? I don't know. Which rock star?
I wasn't smoking nearly enough.
Not nearly enough.
I was more of an Eric Clapton, but like late Clapton.
Slow hand, yeah.
Okay, so I threw a bunch of topics out that, of course, we can or can't ever hit to, but I found something that cool website. Did you guys take a look at Answer the Public?
Yeah, so that's a really neat site. It'd be really good for when you're building keywords to buy.
Yeah, perfect. I wasn't being crazy then. Okay.
Well, and phrases, because listen, I decided to do a search of people who were searching in the UK for phrases that include Orlando hotels. And the reason I did that is because, to purchase Orlando hotels as a keyword in a bidding scenario, you're going to give up, 4 or 5 room nights for every booking that you actually get in expenses. But what's interesting is if you look at the searches that came up with it out of the UK, here's what people care about. And I'll agree with this. How many Orlando hotel rooms? So that was a vendor. What Orlando hotels have a shuttle to Disney? What Orlando hotels have water parks? what are the universal Orlando hotels? Which Orlando hotels with free airport shuttle? Which Orlando hotels have airport shuttles? Which Orlando hotels have lazy rivers? And which Orlando hotels have heated pools? And which Orlando hotels have shuttles to Disney?
I like the graphic too. I like the who, what, where, when graphic that it blows up.
I don't understand what the human is though.
Yeah, I don't
What's he
either.
holding? Is he holding a sword?
I think. Yeah. But I also thought for content, because to your point, where you pulled Orlando up, there's such a brand saturation issue with the brands in the market that you can't show up for what you would like to show up. So you have to settle for what you can show up for. And if you can maybe put content in things that answer some of those questions, you can give some relevance to yourself anyway without having to think.
Well, and what's interesting is when you go down to the prepositions, there were 83. All themed by near, versus, for, like, without, with, to. Lazy rivers, it's a thing. So if you're an Orlando hotel with a lazy river, let's make that your hero image on your site.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how many people care about Disney.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Well, UK wise, I guess that's probably when when you travel abroad, all of a sudden where you tell people are from, like, oh, where you from? Florida. Oh, how close is that to Miami? Oh, a long ways, but yeah, it's north of Miami. I mean, there's just very few reference points some people have.
3 hours.
And we're at fault too. I mean, you talk Spain. Oh, is that near Madrid, Barcelona? There's a whole lot in between that we don't really know a lot of times that are probably more featurable. But
here's the one I'm confused about by the UK person who chose Orlando hotels for hurricane.
The UK person. Well, maybe they're visiting Orlando. I don't know, during a hurricane.
Or there could have been somebody on the East Coast at the time contacting their family up in England, going over and saying, "Yo, mate, can you look something up for me?"
or they're just very thorough in their vacation planning.
How about the poor person who has such bad allergies that they're searching for Orlando hotels without carpet?
Wow.
Life's rough.
It goes back to our last week conversation about special needs traveling. That there are a lot of things to consider. It's okay. Not to harbor that back up again, but I have had some follow-up conversations with others afterwards, and it is amazing the toxicity of the topic.
Why is it toxic?
The legalities that people are worried about. This concern that any mention of their providing any sort of different service towards special needs opens up any ADA compliance issues, whether they're inviting people for critique on something and it's like, wait a minute. I see it in a completely different world that a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But
most opportunities can be looked at with excitement and fear, but that's how you know it's a real opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's going to be an issue, though, because the more you get personalized, all of a sudden, if someone goes and figures out that you're targeting particular offers toward whatever groups and disenfranchising some other group because you've isolated them for a particular offer, you got to be careful with that. Even if though that offer may be available to everyone, even advertising it just to a particular group and not telling others about it.
Although I got to tell you, I hate
problem,
when I get a wheelchair accessible room. Like, it's the worst shower experience. Yeah. Like I hate it.
And with the big lip to get over on the wheelchair, it's probably the worst experience for the person in the wheelchair as well.
Yeah, it's a no-win for anybody in that sense because minimum compliance. Yeah. No, but I think
now, wasn't there some recent court cases that have kind of limited the trolling that's happening with ADA attorneys on hotels? I thought I read an article that there was like some major movement in the courts to kind of stop the trolling.
I haven't seen anything recently.
I'll look for it.
Yeah,
it was in the last couple of months. I remember seeing it and going, "Oh, good, finally."
Was it more targeting people who are raising multiple suits across multiple jurisdictions and things like that, or was it?
I can't remember. I remember skimming it and going, "Oh, good, like common sense, right?"
Yeah. No, that'd be a good move because that was just. I mean, they were carpetbaggers. They were just rolling into town and banging up your hotel.
Well, they're the same as patent trolls. I mean.
Yeah, you can make a lot of money. You tie people up in court and you go, hey, it'll cost you fill in the blank, whatever that number is.
Yeah.
I'll go away. And
no, unfortunately that was rampant in the early 2000s.
Yep.
I don't think it maybe diminished, but it was. I remember when I was still running the hotels back then, it was still rampant. But okay, so my big goal to today is I'm dying to get Ed to talk about some of the guest engagement platforms we didn't get to have him engage with last week. That's my thing, my little caveat today. For everyone that's listening, both recorded and for play, we have several different topics, but that's my topic that I want to try to get to. So if you want to hang through the process, we'll get to it eventually. Or Ed, is there something in particular that you wanted to throw into the table, or was there an article that I threw out that you wanted to make sure got thrown in? And
gosh. I mean, none of the articles were super crazy. I mean, the Wyndham expands its reward program to cover 17,000 vacation condos and homes. That's an interesting move.
Yeah. So did Ed just tell me that my selection sucked?
No, you asked me what I felt had to be in here.
Oh.
I think you did. I think you told me my thing sucked.
I didn't. Hey, I said your choice for tool of the week was good.
That's true. Okay, right. I got 1 out of 20. I'm okay with that. I can live with 1 endorsement from Ed. As long as I get 1 endorsement from Ed, it's a good day for me, man.
Lauren, I'm a Gen Xer. If I give you any type of positive feedback, you really earned it.
All the hits keep on coming.
Even if he just begrudgingly gives you some contempt, that's a plus. So.
It very means, his acknowledgement of anything positive is a good
acknowledging
thing.
Your existence. Wow.
It's a good day in the land of Lauren.
Exactly.
No, I think we'll have time, because here's the thing. Like, I've looked at a lot of these engagement tools. Mm-hmm. I've looked at them superficially. I know what's behind, like, the communications piece. So just so everyone listening knows, SMS, like other types of text, Facebook chat, things like that, there's like one architecture that everyone uses, and it's a company called Twilio. Right. So the excitement shouldn't be around the ability to reach the devices or the endpoints. Where you really have to look at for guest engagement is how it organizes your staff to be able to address the expectations that are created by engaging guests on their devices. And what that means is if you're going to get into SMS-based communication or chat-based communication, you need to understand, by opening that box, you're creating the expectation of a response time similar to phone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Ed, because you are thoroughly the expert in this space, because your engagement levels of what you do, both with Flip2, but also just the history of how you've engaged with it. It is a point to be made that when you do this, you're saying, I'm willing to invest in the ability to do accurate, timely responses with you. That I'm just not doing this.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like Twitter. With direct messaging and things like that. When the airlines did a huge backlash, because we were like, oh, this is great. Delta Assist. They have their own Twitter handle. And then all of a sudden, hey, what's going on? I've got a big problem. And 45 minutes later, you get a response, which
but that's in line with if you called.
Yeah.
Well, that's something we said for consistency.
And I'll be a positive to American Airlines. I've solved lots of things through Twitter with them that people were still sitting around waiting on hold, listening to the music, trying to get to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But with this, because it's funny that in the past few weeks, which is why this kind of came up, was a friend of mine asked me my opinion about these things, and then I talked to one of my clients, like, we do terrible. Hotels as an industry do terrible on property level engagement, and they're like, oh, well, that's interesting. What do you think about the following 4 platforms? And I'm going, oh, so you are thinking about that. It's like everybody's coming out of their budget cycle now with this thought, okay, this is an area of opportunity, guest level engagement time, that whole story thing that people keep hanging on to.
So here's the thing. So the trick of it is this. I'll give you a perfect scenario. Checked into a hotel, had 2 rooms booked as a lockout. 1 room was clean, the other wasn't. So they gave me the keys to my first room. Checked in, got into my first room, got a text message. Hey, while you're on property, if you need anything, you can text. Just reply to this text and we'll help you out.
Yep.
Great. 2 hours later, as I hear housekeeping close the door, I text, hey, just checking in, is my other room clean?
Cricket.
2.5 hours later, I get a phone call. Hi, Mr. StOnge, just wanted to let you know your other room is clean. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
The next day, I get a response to the text.
Oh,
wow.
Very nice.
Wow. Total fail.
Yeah.
Right. But it's probably not the hotel's failure. They're probably using, it's a service I'd never heard of, so I'm guessing it's some type of free service or something like that. And I'm guessing it doesn't have a lot of organizational tools. But here's the thing. If you're going to step into real-time communications, you do it with the same thought and investment that you did with your phone system.
Absolutely. And I think, well, a lot of the brands are they've certainly learned to run these things out of the call center. And it's the same thing. You've got queues of these things. They're coming in. It's time sensitive. They're getting electronically filtered where they're being, the text is being evaluated. And being channeled to the right either department or whatever, and there's some guts behind it. But just having a text message come in, especially when it has to go to multiple people, and all of a sudden you have to forward it, or it's a list, or that's where all of a sudden the wheels fall off, and it's it's sitting on one person's phone or in one queue that the person who has the answer doesn't have access to. Right.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'd be cautious of, which I was talking to you about in the green room, is this list that you created. There are two different types of guest engagement in this list. How
would you like to handle this? One is, I want to ask if you could put a prioritization of questions that you need to ask yourself before you dive into this pool of if you're going to do these things.
I'm going to give you the number one question you should ask before you look at anything. Ever.
So this is global. This isn't just this.
Before you look at any form of technology,
anything.
I'm writing these down. So
before you decide that you want to reach out to someone to have lunch with them, before you decide to make any form of purchase, before you decide to do anything, I want you to ask yourself, what's your goal?
Right.
And then I want you to analyze
why is a very underutilized question in the
the problem with why is it tends to get answered with because other people are doing it, or because I think we need to do it. Why do you think you need to do it?
How does it tie to my business strategy is the key question.
And listen, I know all these vendors will appreciate you thinking that through. Because the bottom line is you're going to get very different things from this list of vendors, and none of them are worse or better or whatever. It's really what's the match to what you're trying to accomplish. Right. So when you're looking at glowing, whistle, and zingle.
Okay. And let me. That's the other question I want to ask you. Do you want me to go over and do a screen pop up for it, and you could just talk through it?
I don't know. I don't want to talk too much to it because, like I said, I'll
post all the links over in the
Okay, thank you.
I've taken a superficial look at all of these, and they're all slightly different. They're all leaning on certain strengths. None of them I think are like. I don't think any of them are bad. At least of the ones I know, like they all bring value.
You just spend a little bit of time with Trust You, and so is Checkmate. Did they allude to anything? Because you were on Darlene's summit.
They didn't talk too much about it. We really should have Ellis on and have him come in and talk about it.
Ellis, if you're listening, please join us.
Yeah. So the bottom line here is you have like straight in the moment communications. So that's going to be like your glowing, your Checkmate. Checkmate's a little bit more advanced than that, I think. Ones that are really primed to receive, meaning you've got a guest who just doesn't want to talk to you, right? And they want to text you, or they want to chat you, or do something like that. It's funny. It's not all millennials. Like, I prefer electronic communication because of my last name. Because everyone murders my last name. Everyone's computer completely misspells my last name.
I butchered it for the first 6 months I knew you. I still screw it up.
Yeah, but no, that's a very good point. When you type in and all of a sudden you get autocorrect. I don't know what StOnge autocorrects to, but it's probably also
StOnge, StOnge, StOnge.
StOnge, I can see StOnge popping up. No, I did classify a couple of was when I looked at all of them, I put 3 categories of them together. One, if there was an app that was necessary to be used by either the user or the client, then I thought it was bad. Because if you're making a guest having to download something to communicate with you when there's so many already current used platforms, I thought that was a negative. And the other was some of the platforms are strictly customer connected, not also
staff connected. You're oversimplifying it. Because here's the thing. So let me finish what I was saying. So you have like your whistles, your glowings, your players like that are literally infrastructure to facilitate someone who just wants to talk to you electronically. It's not going to be something that I think convinces a lot of people to do it. It's just going to like take care of the people who are inclined to communicate with you that way. Then you have the platforms like the Alice, Checkmate may fall into this side. Some of the others I'm not familiar with that are designed to get people to want to engage with you this way. Okay, so there's a difference. You have the apps that are there to answer the problem of, hey, there are people who just would prefer not to call, right? And then there are the ones that are actually designed to draw people in, and in that draw in, get them to be upsold and things like that. So that's where I want you to look at these different, guest engagement platform is a broad scope. I mean, Flip2 falls under that. Trust You falls under that before the acquisition. Hell, your booking engine falls under that. Your website provider falls under that. So, you really need to think of what do you want out of the engagement. Like, so for a perfect example, listen, since the day I could start ordering food from delivery services without calling them and have record of exactly what I ordered, I've always preferred that. Any hotel that offers me the ability to order room service through an app, I will download the app for that reason.
Right.
Period. Mm-hmm. Because I don't have to call you. I can just get it done, know that it's going to happen, know that I'm not going to have to start out with them trying to pronounce my last name.
Well,
or not trying and just being wrong.
And again,
your family that you're not, that there's your life has been cultured around the fact that your last name is a challenge to people to know. So
listen, my wife tried to convince me to take her last name. Because it was just an easier last name. So again, there are people out there who aren't millennials that just prefer the experience for one reason or the other. So it's not all antisocial, like millennials.
Right. But the other side is the stuff has to be done well. I mean, if it's like ordering room service, just having a list of prices and things that you kind of click on,
you need a special order. It needs to accommodate what you would accommodate in a conversation.
Right. All the things you want, good quality photography that's representative of the food. Not just, wow, that looks like a great hamburger. Because again, all these things are setting expectations that if you fall short of the delivery on anything for this, and that's kind of the double-edged sword of, hey, let's go use one of these technologies and we aren't staffed to use it properly.
Well, this is why you need to start with what's your goal?
Exactly.
Because what's your goal should tell you which products are going to be right for you and what other things you're going to have to change. Like how much are you willing to invest is easily answered by understanding what are you hoping to get out of it.
Well, so it's not only the you've got to look through the full investment too, because it isn't just like a lot of groups look at, well, we just got it installed and we're done. It's like, no, once you get installed, you've started.
Yeah.
And so, the staffing, all of those different things, the improvement of saying, well, gee, we started this and this part isn't working so well, or we're having, that stuff needs to get changed. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes costs.
Do you think AI will have help with this? Because to be honest with you, I've tried to build like room service type interfaces, and it turns into a very nasty, cumbersome to cover all variables. Extra lemon with your tea, and brown sugar versus white sugar.
Come on, Lauren, it's not hard.
It's all contextual by menu item.
But here's also
really look at all those different.
It's not hard. Like, you don't have to recreate the wheel. There are some companies that have taken very complicated, very personalized ordering and has done a great job with it. Starbucks is a perfect example. Everyone has some weird thing they want with their coffee, and that app handles it. So, like, so if you're looking to solve, but that's the thing, you have to understand what problem are you looking to solve, and what are you thinking it's going to do? So are you doing this because you think it's going to increase room service? Are you doing this because you think it's going to increase this? Because you need to also not just understand why you want to do it, you need to understand what you think it's going to do, so then you can create expectations and then go out to market to the vendors with your expectations and understand their ability to meet your expectations. This is how you should buy anything.
Right.
Okay. You should understand the reasons why you're embarking on this journey. And then you should understand in that why, what is it you're expecting the outcome to be? And you should be clear to your vendors that you're looking at for this, what your expected outcome is, because you'll get there a lot faster and you'll be less likely to make mistakes, but you'll also be going into it with open eyes, understanding that there are problems you're going to create by the shift. And they're only problems if the upside of whatever you're setting off to do isn't big enough to cover that shift.
Right. No, what I mean is when I was building the apps for it, this was back in the day when there was limited technology what to do. And so you literally were creating your POS interface on a mobile platform of, oh, when you order this, here's your options. You order this, here's your options. I mean, I'm saying AI, I was trying to get to a question of saying with AI like WeChat, in China, they talk to what they're ordering. They're not selecting and choosing. They're literally saying what they want, and then that's being conveyed over to the vendor, and the vendor is just almost playing back the audio and getting what it is that they want.
So Darlene just asked a question. Not sure my question in chat's going through. As Lauren mentioned, we have a webinar on
separate topic.
Tim Peter on the subject of 2017 trends. What one question should we make sure the audience knows the answer to?
Pause.
Well, trends, like, are we talking like marketing trends, business trends, demand trends, revenue trends? Like what kind of trends are we talking here? Because I mean, there's a lot of trends. Digital marketing trends.
Oh, a matter of fact, I have an interview with this latest afternoon asking the same thing, 17 trend.
So I think if you want the audience to get value out of talking about digital marketing trends, I think it would be valuable to talk about why those trends exist. So not just that they're trends and that people are doing it. Like let's talk about why people are doing it. What's causing this trend to develop? Like, is it a shift in consumer behavior? Is it hotels are becoming more advanced? Is it tech is easier to get now, so that's why this is happening?
Tech is being adapted to the hotel space from
right. I mean, so let's like that's one of the things I'd love to see in all these different trend articles and anything that talks about trends of what hotels are doing. Okay, so great, this is happening. Why? Why is this happening? Why are people doing it? And what are the viewpoints on this trend? Darlene called out earlier that I had a nice exchange with Charlie in one of my speaking points at Leonardo, where he wanted to make our section interesting, so he purposely built his presentation to be a counterpoint to mine. And so that's actually healthy. It's healthy to open that up. And I actually appreciate Charlie stepping away from stuff he believes to create that counterpoint. I actually got a nice email from him afterwards saying, I was trying to pull back a little. So I think the why it's happening would be interesting. And then the other thing I think would be interesting for people to understand is how do these trends compare to other similar industries going through the same type of change? So are we behind? Are we ahead? Are we copying? And what was seen as value in that? I mean, as a
behind is a good. Is always a good guess.
Well, so Darlene asked, what industry? Retail. So it depends on what you're talking about in digital marketing, because in digital marketing, yes, retail is far advanced to the automotive industry in certain ways is way behind and way ahead. Like there's a mix.
Fashion industry way ahead. I mean, you can just go down the
but it doesn't all need to be way ahead. Like let's talk about restaurants.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing, to give a full picture of why a trend matters. Sometimes it's not just because we're being dragged kicking and screaming as an industry. Sometimes it's because it's right for our industry and other industries haven't woken up to that yet.
Right.
Like I still will tell you, I'm 100% certain that every other industry wishes that they had safety nets like this industry does on demand. The safety net that this industry continually hates on, which is massive wholesalers who can basically take your property if you ever make a mistake. I'm sure the automotive industry would love to have someone who could sell their cars for them on months that they're just not selling cars.
Just as a geek out on something, Wayfair used to be anyway, old client days.
I like
and one of the challenges of furniture and buying furniture in for your home was visualizing it in your home. Buying that carpet and putting it under your furniture, putting the piece of furniture in your room and seeing if it visually and physically fit. And they have finally. And they finally have done it where they've taken the pictures of the inventories that they're selling, and they now have an app that will AR it into your room, and you can put it where you want it, and it's dimensionally, physically sized correct so that it really truly represents itself in the room instead of being oversized or undersized. It's spatially correct, and you can see it in your room. That's awesome. I mean, just from a geek out point of view, that's freaking awesome that you can put out.
I'm just going to say this now. Okay. I just want to say this now, Darlene. Having a crappy webcam on your laptop is not an excuse. You're very engaged in the conversation. You should join in.
You should join in.
You're asking great questions. You're making great points. We'll put up with your crappy laptop camera.
And look, Ed and I are both having bad hair days already.
There she goes. See? She can be swayed.
You can't have a bad hair day when your hair is bad. So
she looked at the three of us and figured, I can't look that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll make this look good.
Right.
Hey, by the way, Blab came back. It's called Bebo now.
Oh, really? Bebo?
Yeah, they can put 8 people on a screen. It's still not.
Horrible name. What a horrible name. Because that is
Wasn't
from
there a Bebo
a childhood book that I read to my children. That's written by a great author. And it's about belly buttons. So now every time I hear Bebo, I'm going to think about hippopotamuses' belly buttons.
That's so good.
Speaking of which, bad naming, Trump hotels.
Oh, yeah. Not going good.
Hold on.
Oh, Trump. Oh, just the name.
Let me tell you the pitch.
The parent brand. Yeah.
We need to come up with a brand that speaks to millennials.
Yeah.
Scion will be the brand that speaks to millennials. Oh, wait. Someone's already done that.
Yeah.
Their name is Toyota.
Right.
And what did Toyota learn about the Scion brand? It actually spoke more to baby boomers.
Right.
So what's the thought process in picking Scion?
Somebody liked it.
Somebody was a Battlestar Galactica.
It's a classic family business problem where you have the insular group of people, and it's just like, great, let's run with it. They're talking to themselves; they aren't talking to the customer. And just if we're gonna pile on with Trump, his Toronto property went bankrupt yesterday. I don't know. Last couple
was
days.
Was it his or like because he doesn't own all the property?
Well, no, but it's his brand. Apparently they were. There's a lot of litigation around it because these guys hired various Trump firms to consult them in terms of the development, design, and things like that. So management.
Wait a sec. So you decided to hire Trump's professionals to help you on a hotel, and you're surprised you're bankrupt?
Oh, yeah.
Have we not looked at what Trump did in Atlantic City? I mean, He's a brilliant man as far as working debt, but as far as he's concerned, going bankrupt is not a problem. It's a way to it's a way to change his position.
Not to be political at all, but based on purely his business process. It's very similar to Ian Schrager's old business process, which is don't pay people you don't have to.
Right.
And
Steve Rubell, also a fan of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You just go out and make them sue you or whatever.
But if I was Trump's lawyer in this case, my point that I would make, my point of argument, is you hired all the experts that we used that led us down the same path, and you expected a different result.
Right.
A different result, yeah.
Yeah. The definition of insanity, trying the same
It's an insanity plea.
Exactly. No.
Darlene says her camera's not functioning for her today.
I feel really bad for the people who work at Trump hotels right now because they're suffering.
Oh yeah.
I've actually been the person that when you see like your political friends post crap on Facebook, which by the way, posting your political views on Facebook doesn't change what anyone thinks, right?
No.
You know, unless you're literally posting from a trustworthy source, which no one one is. You know, they're always like the West Indies daily article.
Well, the amazing one, especially on Facebook, are just the number of just fake account. You know, it's just completely fictional, or it's a humor site, right? It's some sort of satirical site.
I love the Onion's.
The Onion. Oh yeah, Onion does a great job.
Yeah,
but they're
the Daily Show's been going good.
So what I was saying though is, I actually, when people do this whole boycott Trump hotels, I comment going, yeah, that's great. You know, ruin the livelihood of the hundreds or thousands of people who work there because of the actions of one man. Not all these people have a choice in who they work for, and not all these hotels are owned by him.
Right. No, most of them are just license deals with the names and things like that. So
yeah, Darlene can't get on, Lauren.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we had to see my shoe when I was on your broadcast. Yeah.
Darlene, what is your profile picture?
Yeah, what is that?
Is it a bee?
I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, you're right.
Darlene, I'm going to send you an email with the co-host link to it.
Yeah, do that.
So that
and you have to open it in Chrome.
Yeah. Chrome's the key to that. And in the meanwhile, gentlemen, and not to say to wrap it up, but just to keep going with the conversation about the guest engagement platforms. I know you have a hard stop in an hour or in 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Less than that.
Robert? Less than that.
Let's call it 10. 10
so I threw in Hilton's Skift review brand since we did Marriott's. I thought it only fair, and since you're the master of brand review, I didn't know whether that was a give it to you or if you were interested in going through it or not.
Well, I do have to interview Hilton for Focusrite. That's actually my call that follows us. So
we're not talking about Hilton today, basically. Okay, well there it is.
No. I'm absolutely happy to. So we're gonna basically, my conversation with Hilton is, hey, I want to ask the questions that the people in the audience want to know. And we're going to try to structure them in a form where it's not forward-looking or something that's going to get them in trouble with the Securities and Exchange Commission, and basically to just say, hey, what do they
asking? So how are you today?
No, what do they?
And that concludes our interview. Thank you for your time.
I want to ask them questions about the numbers of hotel brands, and if they're not, is Marriott having 30? Is that an advantage, disadvantage? How does all that work out? Yeah, is it meaningful to consumers? So,
too many.
Do you want me to pull the link up that has the Skift article to go through one, or
I've got it here. Well, luxury Waldorf Astoria, it stays certainly. Interesting, Conrad, that they put Conrad in there, which I don't know. I think one of the important things is if you stack these up against Marriott's luxury brands, you start going, I don't know, a couple of them kind of wind up in there where you go, is that really luxury? I'd say, Conrad's luxury junior.
Is, I'm a car nut. Yeah. And if you look at the positioning of the two different brands and how their brands like interact with each other, we just lost Lauren.
He's probably posting the list.
Hilton's brands versus Marriott's brands, I think, are like Audi's cars versus BMW's cars. They are slightly off of each other. So if BMW with the M3 is targeting someone, Audi with their RS4 is coming in just below that or just above it. You know, so I think what's interesting when you start to weave them together and look at them versus each other. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I think there are upper scale, like honestly, a full-blown Hilton versus a full-blown Marriott. I actually think full-blown Hiltons are better. Yeah. But a Waldorf versus a JW, right? I think JWs are better.
Yeah, and I think what they're going for is, I think they're looking for Waldorf as the more traditional. Yeah, so the St. Regis, Ritz-Carlton. Yeah, maybe type, where Conrad's going to be the more modern sort of one. Now the question is Conrad really established as a more modern brand? And that's where I would say that.
I mean, I think their properties are. Like, I've stayed at Conrad's, and I will agree with that. I think they're the more modern approach to luxury and design and things like that. I don't think the way they're marketed screws that, but the actual product, I agree. The definitions here, I think, are interesting because they're fairly on point. But I think the question is actually how they're marketed and whether or not consumers understand the difference.
Yeah, but listen to the Hilton's description of his offers for Conrad, offers smart luxury travelers inspiring connections and intuitive service in a world of style. Okay, so they got the style a little bit, but that doesn't really say much.
What is smart luxury, by the way?
Yeah, well, as opposed to the stupid luxury brand. Yeah.
That's a softball.
yeah, exactly. So but anyway, going down the list, you've got Hilton. Now this is interesting. The stylish, forward-thinking leader in global hospitality. I don't think a lot of people think of Hilton and stylish as being synonymous.
No, because I honestly think W. Right. Like, you could just say W, and that's the definition of W.
Right. Yeah, it's a lifestyle. Hilton wants to be, but Hilton also has 572 hotels and over 200,000 rooms that they've got to go make stylish. Which is and again, I think the theme for today is setting these expectations. Where if someone hasn't stayed in one and they read this description and say they go stylish, I don't know about this. The airport Hilton here just isn't quite doing it for me.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's funny. You should read these, and it's like, so what is Hilton? Like, the best hamburger and room service of all the brands.
Yeah.
I mean, that, and then like really big TVs.
But you really say, my question I always ask is, what is the difference between a Hilton, a Sheraton, and a Marriott? Really? When you really get down to the functional, these
property by property of quality, I think it's Hilton, Marriott, Sheraton. I think Hilton,
I would say on a macro scale, but I think most consumers look at that as just being either they're in that particular frequent guest program, but to really differentiate them, it's tough because a lot of them have been the other brand before and they didn't really change much.
Right. Right. But this is also the problem with having so many brands without like a big property difference.
Right.
Like Embassy Suites, I actually think it's
a great brand.
Fantastic brand.
It's one of the best brands ever made. And I think Hilton is grossly underachieved on that. I mean, that they really haven't reinforced the that brand and grown it as rapidly as I really would have imagined when they acquired that group.
To agree with Ed on one thing, I would put Hilton above Marriott. Then I think I put Sheraton down the bottom all the time for this. But the one thing I have to say about Hilton that is inconsistent compared to Marriott is Marriott demands more of their FF&E builds on an annual basis than Hilton does. Hilton, I've gone up and down as to what I could tell you what year they last did versus Marriott's usually within a year of what they just did.
Yeah, and I think part of that is being private then going public.
Yeah,
that transition causes a look at spend. So I have a feeling you'll see now that they're public, it'll it'll get a little healthier.
But that's not there. So that it's the property improvement programs, and that's one of the challenges of once you kind of say, hey, these are the standards, and you guys are going to get pushed out these other brands. Well, now they have the portfolios to keep them in the family, but now they've got all these soft brands from the other groups. They've got, other hotel groups saying, "Hey, come in and be an Ascend Collection member with a
the ones I'm
right?
really challenged with understanding, like the differentiation in with these Hiltons is the Hilton Garden Inn versus a Hampton Inn,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know how they're supposed to be positioned. Like I like Hampton Inns.
Right.
Like when I'm just going somewhere and I want to just sleep and don't really expect much else out of it, and I want someone friendly at the front desk who's going to talk to me, Hampton Inn. Hampton
Inn is the Fairfield equivalent, right? And
I think they're more of a Courtyard, don't you think?
No. Hampton Inn's really kind of more a Fairfield, and then the Hilton Garden Inn was supposed to be the Courtyard.
But you know what? At the end of the day, and I don't mean this in any disrespect of any of the brands that we're discussing, because I've stated all of them, enjoy all of them for different reasons. It's really about, at that point, the functionality of its location based on what I'm doing there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I'm not traveling to a vacation destination saying can't get me enough Fairfield.
Right. Exactly.
It's more of, hey, I want to not have to worry about getting to the airport in the morning. The Fairfield's right next door with a shuttle to the airport.
Well,
so on my last night, I'm kicking over there so I can have an easier get out.
Or the really interesting thing in the Fairfield and the Hampton Inn sector is for a lot of suburban properties. I mean, Toronto is a classic example. People want to stay near Toronto, but they don't want to stay downtown. It's too expensive. So if they're driving in, and the drive market, they want to stay somewhere on the periphery. Well, that's a large area that, that arc that goes from, around the lake and around the city. And so people may be staying 30, 40 miles away from, their original destination they want to stay up, but they're looking at a price point. They're looking at a quality level, and they're looking at striking distance for, I can get on transit and get into the city, or whatever the case, whatever their decision structure may.
Darlene, thank you for joining today.
Yeah, Darlene, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for the questions.
And thanks again for all the work on that digital marketing summit. It was great.
Yeah, awesome summit. Awesome. Looking forward to the next.
I got to go take a look at that. Okay. It's posted, right?
Yeah.
Darlene, before you go, post the link to the thing so people can see what.
Oh yeah, the webinar 17th. Yeah.
So anyway, continuing through the list, you've got Curio, is certainly one of the
they're nice hotels.
Curious.
I've never stayed in a
I like them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, the Curios, it's the same as Autograph. It's soft brands and things like that. So,
but they are. They are holding true.
They're generally
to them being interesting and historic and stuff like that.
But the Diplomat in a.
Hey, I got a question.
In Hollywood, Florida, is a Curio property. It used to be a Westin.
Yep.
Right. So I think it's interesting to look at what these things were before too.
Yeah.
That would be a very interesting blog post if I had the time to go through their collections to say here's what they were before.
Right.
Anyway, DoubleTree
did they invest to go to the new brand, or did they just transition?
Oh no, they lowered. Well, the owner lowered their fees to the brand, right? That's the play on the soft brands,
right?
Period. Right. So Canopy by Hilton, there aren't any.
Yeah, it's too early.
What you missed? You skipped over Embassy. Anything with Embassy?
Well, we already talked about it. I think Embassy is an amazing brand. I love it.
It's a great brand. Yep.
And I think they're so different from anything.
Yep. Absolutely.
That it's easy to understand why it's a brand in itself.
Yeah.
That's one of the best
stand out in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, DoubleTree is an interesting one. That's another one that's kind of a weird. I don't know. Yes, they've got the cookies, right? They've got the chocolate chip cookies.
Well, what's brilliant about DoubleTree, and Marriott's not really had an answer for this. DoubleTree is Hilton's way to board you to the family as an owner.
That's right. It's the 4 points of Hilton.
Yeah. Well, except Except
that's insulting it in a way.
It's a little bit better. 4 Points was more the catch-all for guys coming out of Sheraton, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, they are kind of the
brand.
They're the on-ramp.
Yeah, DoubleTree is you're in between investment cycles.
Yeah,
you're a pretty good hotel.
Yeah, or it could be the off-ramp.
Right. So yeah, exactly. I mean, DoubleTree, I really like from a business perspective. Like if I was an investor in Hilton, DoubleTree is brilliant. From the consumer perspective, I think the challenge is because what it is, the consistency is very different on the types of hotels. Not necessarily the quality, just the types of hotels that are DoubleTrees.
A lot of cats and dogs. Yeah, most of them are pretty good. The quality's pretty good, but they're just all over the map.
But you know what's funny about
and one thing kind of against Hilton, they don't have the same discipline as Marriott in terms of really getting these guys aligned in terms of how their pricing's set up versus the other folks in the group. So,
but I think it's because, but I think that's why they're successful with it because it's basically their first soft brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I've been more pleasantly surprised at DoubleTrees because usually it's a big full flag that's on a descent in the sense of franchise cost because its market has shifted. And so to keep in the brand family, they've gone down to the franchise level of DoubleTree. I've been more pleasantly surprised walking into a DoubleTree going, wow, this is a DoubleTree. It used to be a full flag of something, but they want to keep a low franchise overhead. So they went DoubleTree.
Right. Yep. No, I think it's from a consumer perspective, and the brand used to be very interesting. I think DoubleTree didn't they merge with Guest Quarters or something? I can't remember way back in the Promise days.
I was a child, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Hilton Garden Inn is fine. It's just I look at them as being competitive with Courtyard, and I think Courtyard, kind of eats their lunch.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Courtyard is a problem, I think, for Marriott because I got to be honest with you, it's
expensive.
Well, no, but I'm more loyal to Courtyard than I am to full service Marriott.
Right. Oh no, it is
because your beds are more comfortable, and the offering is a better value proposition.
Yeah, Courtyard is a great concept, and it does, and they've also raised the pricing of them. Interestingly enough, where in many cases they are directly dead-on competitive with full service Marriotts,
and they should be because I honestly think, I mean, that's actually one of the things that I've always scratched my head about with the Marriott branding positioning is I honestly think Courtyard is a better product than Marriott.
Well, it's the same problem that Sheraton has in Weston, right? They're older, legacy brands, lots of hotels. They get hundreds of thousands of rooms updated or made consistent without completely blowing up your portfolio. That's not an easy task.
No, it's not. Homewood Suites, I love.
I love Homewood. Homewood Suites, great. Yep. Those. And again, Homewood versus, and Marriott's got their town places.
Yeah, but town place isn't nearly as nice as Homewood.
No. And what's the other? Wait, there's
Residence
Town Place.
Inn.
Residence Inn. There's one more.
It's Town. So it's Town Place Suites, Residence Inn.
It's in
Fairfield. And
no. If we can't think of it, that's bad.
Right. Well, Fairfield Inn and Suites.
Oh, Fairfield, yes, that's true. Yeah, so you got the variations on those where they throw in the suites.
Yeah. You know, an interesting comparison chart is if we were to take franchise overhead costs of each of these, if we were to go get a list of everything that each of these represent in the sense of franchise overhead costs, and see how they compare to other franchise overhead costs to the others as well.
Right. And those exist. HVS has a very nice list that they put together. Actually, I haven't seen last year's. I think I have 2014. I don't know if that's 2015.
But some of these, HVS some of these brands, are more than just their overhead. Like a Homewood Suites, you're built as a Homewood Suites.
Oh yeah,
right.
And you're built because you believe in the product itself. And so I think that's the difference here. The ones we're not struggling with. The product is the identity of the brand.
Absolutely.
Embassy Suites.
Well, but what's interesting is where did Homewood and Embassy Suites come from? They came from Promise, right?
Right.
They weren't native Hilton brand, at least way back when.
Right.
And Hilton hasn't messed with those.
Because they're good models.
Absolutely. Yep.
Hampton
and Embassy Suites actually in a hat tip to Bob Gilbert, the company that really made Embassy Suites was MHM. And we're talking way back in the 80s, because they were running those properties really, really well. And that was pre-Promise, but they did a tremendous job. It was MHM, Motor Hotel Management.
Huh.
And Bob Gilbert was with them for quite a while, but a great company, really helped establish that that brand and that consistency and the management of it.
Hampton Inn, I'll tell you exactly. Like, I'm a huge fan of Hampton Inn when I have to stay somewhere for work.
Right.
No nonsense, friendly front desk that will chat you up when you're bored, and then the breakfast. And then the rooms, I don't know if you've been in any of the ones that have gone through the modernization. They're using like a high quality faux wood type laminate flooring. That's going to age really well.
Oh no, and it's much easier to clean, right? The vacuuming and everything like that. It's just smart. Certainly expect to see that.
And let's face it,
more in the hotel.
Hampton Inn is so good because it's half of Hilton.
Yeah. Yep. They're huge.
I mean, it's 2,108 hotels. Like,
on that note, I need to go and go talk to Hilton and tell them about how we just trashed their brand.
We didn't trash it.
No. I just did.
Two questions out of this process, possibly that, and again, being publicly traded, they may not be able to. Does the merger between them, between Marriott and Starwood, change their look at these? I'm looking at 3 different brands here that have yet to really roll out any product footprint. They're on the board. They're supposed to be launching. Nothing yet. Does it change their strategy about still entering into the soft branded spaces, or are they going to try to aggregate their core brand representation and just make sure that gets solid? That might be one question.
Oh, I think Hilton's all over soft brands because they want to pick off all those Marriott ones with 30 Marriott brands and all these owners that start going, wait a second.
You just killed
Robert left.
All right.
Robert left. Robert
no more advice for you, Robert.
Yes,
Robert.
There he is.
There he is. Sorry.
I didn't mean to leave, but I am now.
No, I think the soft brand is here to stay for them, Curio, because it's a huge loyalty play.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see lower end soft brands. The soft brands are going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
Anyway, gotta go. See you later.
Have a great weekend.
All right, take care, Robert. Well, and there it is.
What would you like to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. The weather. What you doing this weekend? I don't know.
How was your Halloween?
Halloween was fun. Okay, this is the we don't have kids scenario of Halloween. I told you last time I talked to you last week, I was envious of any parent for 2 times, Christmas and Halloween, because you get to be the kid you are because you have kids to do it with.
Right.
And when you don't have kids to do it with, you can't have that kind of fun. So the alternative is to go over and make adult beverages and sit at the end of your cul-de-sac with all of your other adult neighbors that don't have kids also, and throw all the candy on one table in front of you, and then let the kids come down the end of the street, grab all the candy they want while you keep drinking and playing music and make it a little bit of a block party out of it.
Or a tailgating event.
Yeah, it's kind of like localized tailgating, except for you can walk back and replenish your drink without having to go to anywhere else. So it worked out very well for that.
Good.
But how was yours? By the way, you're a mean Darth Vader. You're a mean Darth Vader.
Listen, man, you got to be wearing gym shorts and a t-shirt version of Darth Vader in Florida, right? I said to my wife, because here's the thing with a Darth Vader costume: you either do it right and it's super expensive, or you just don't. So that's what I did. I did the just don't.
Dude, the whole family dressing up in a single theme. Those days will. I mean, from friends I know that have older kids, that they look back fondly to where the kids wanted to be whatever mom and dad wanted it to be and stuff, instead of wanting to run off with their friends or, oh gosh, I'm not going to.
Oh, listen, it's a ton of fun. This is the second year we've done a family themed costume. Last year was Wizard of Oz. It's a ton of fun. The kids loved it. We're in like the sweet spot of Halloween. We have a 5-year-old about to turn 6, and we have a 2.5-year-old. So, it's magical. It was a great time. Yeah.
They one thing I didn't put in the list of topics that I thought was kind of weird was that a couple forget who was putting VR in their hotels. The Alofts are throwing VR into their hotels. IHG made this announcement. I'm sitting there going, really?
That is someone who didn't start with a goal.
No, okay, good point. Because to me, it's like, I'm going to travel somewhere and then I'm going to put VR sitting on the edge of my bed to look around. Are you kidding me?
Right. And then the goal wasn't challenged by anyone. Because
no, it was a toy. It was a shiny object.
Yeah.
It goes back to what we tell people not to do. Don't chase, do good what you're supposed to do core. And then if there's something new that can be introduced once you're yielding as much as you can on your base stuff, then try the new thing. And VR is not the new thing. VR is not the thing.
No, Lawnmower Man.
Huh?
No, you know VR is not new. Lawnmower Man. Ever see that movie?
Oh, yeah. Love that movie.
Was that
1986?
1986, I think that was.
It had to be that long ago because they're still using the linear lights, kind of like Tempest used to be, the game, the arcade game for Tempest. Yeah. They're still using the linear light technologies. Yeah, we got to see what that was. All right, so you said that there might be some interest in talking about Wyndham expansion.
1992.
Wow, think about that.
Wow, okay.
I mean, it was pretty visually.
I was 12. At the time. Where were you working then, Lauren?
I was 14, maybe. Yeah, no. All right. Do you want to hit the Wyndham 17,000 vacation condos? Because it does open up a bit of a discussion as to the real proposition value that this represents. I'm going to throw the link up here for our chat and for the other.
It's brilliant, and here's why it's brilliant. One, they have a pretty good vacation ownership group. Like Wyndham VO's strong, properties are strong. It plays hand in hand with loyalty. This is a huge upside for the sales team at Wyndham VO because listen, you know that all the vacation ownership groups are data mining the loyalty programs of their affiliated hotel brands. Well, what better way to find out who would be really interested in this product than start tracking people who are staying at homes.
Right.
Like, so that's brilliant on that side. But then also, what do you do to combat someone who has figured out a marketplace? Well, you just start offering a more mature version of being able to buy through that. So now, as a Wyndham loyalty member, anyone who is on the hook for being addicted to the gamification of that point system is going to prefer booking through these vacation condos than they are through Airbnb. Wyndham just stopped Airbnb from disrupting any part of their business.
And it goes to the fact that I think I've always looked at, I used to work for Wyndham, so I'm not going to say that it seems to me it's one of the biggest companies most people don't know from a brand perspective.
It's what happens when you name your brand after the smallest collection of your hotels.
Good point. Because I always thought, why did you pick that? And this is a sad thing to admit, but even when I worked for them, I always was constantly spell checking how I spelled Wyndham. I never could even spell it right. I figured you can empathize with the fact it's like, it sounds the way it says, but when you go to type it, sometimes it doesn't. It just, it always is. People don't really look for Wyndham in as much as they look and discover Wyndham because of what they're looking for, I think.
And this is the difference between Wyndham as a brand and Hilton and Marriott as a brand is Hilton and Marriott always make sure that the Hilton or Marriott name is present in all of their brands, right? So it's Autograph by Marriott, it's Curio by Hilton, Embassy Suites by Hilton, Hampton Inn by Hilton. Wyndham didn't do that, and I think that's a challenge. But unlike Marriott and Hilton, Wyndham's product span is substantial. Like they have the highest of high ends, and they have like the most budget of budget, and then everything in between. So I think that's a bit harder from a branding perspective to keep it all tied together because at least at like a Marriott or a Hilton, I can see myself staying at any of their products, right? I can't say that for Wyndham. Like there are only certain products inside the Wyndham portfolio that I, as a consumer, would stay at. And it's just because they answer such a wide consumer audience that's just got to be a challenge, like for the mothership. And I think Starwood had the same problem.
Yeah, I think Starwood did have the same problem. And to go to Wyndham and saying it from the insider's perspective, having one work with them and had a hotel that wasn't a Wyndham brand hotel. Actually, I was running a Hilton under the Wyndham ownership at the time. And I know they had some off-brand ownerships and stuff that they had, but the I think they squandered a lot of unique opportunities that they represented in the market. I lost Robert. Oh no, I've lost Edward too. I mean, sorry, Ed. No, I lost Robert and Ed. To continue the conversation with is that with Wyndham, I felt that when they had the market share of females that felt safer traveling in the Wyndham brand product than in other brands, they really didn't exploit that level of comfort or that value proposition that they had available to the market. They acknowledged it. They pointed to it, but they didn't do anything to amplify it. They didn't really try to extend that value proposition beyond just being acknowledged that it was a inherent thing that they were able to get. Also, too, I think internally, I think they keep themselves siloed with their brand relationships as to what they own and how they own it. Hey,
I don't know how that happened. So randomly, it kicked me off air, which is funny because I was making a joke on how you're actually saying, in summation of what you're saying is you always felt Wyndham underexploited women.
Okay, well, you could take certain words out of the sentence, but yes, I guess you're right.
Since we're in an election cycle, I thought it'd be interesting.
What the hell? Throw it out there.
To summarize.
Wyndham. So to summarize here, but no, they had this wonderful chance, and this goes back a few years where they were acknowledged as being, from the perception of women, the safest brand to stay with,
and they didn't exploit women.
Women felt safest to travel with women,
and so your problem is that they didn't exploit women,
and they didn't exploit women, and that's what put them into the jeopardy that they are in. No, they just didn't amplify the value proposition that represented. They didn't. Yeah. They acknowledged it, but they didn't do anything with it. They didn't even try to make it a viable increase of market share or something. They just said, oh, that's great for the people like us and we're safe. But the other is internally, they keep themselves siloed. If you worked for Wyndham as a flag, you looked down on other brands that weren't Wyndham, or you looked differently at other brands at best. And so I think it carries over into how the guests look at it. Some guests don't even know that they are staying in a Wyndham product if it doesn't say Wyndham on the sign. They don't know all the ownerships that Wyndham has.
Well, and that's the challenge is like, because it actually brings a new challenge for Wyndham if they actually start making everything by Wyndham, because then does it dilute what by Wyndham means? Because their product span is so wide. That would be like Hilton buying Motel 6.
Yeah.
None of Hilton's existing customers would understand that. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with Motel 6. Motel 6 is one of the strongest brands in North America and has been for a very long time. But it answers a specific market that is very, like they're not going to stay at a Hampton Inn. Why? Because there's $100 a night difference between a Motel 6 and a Hampton Inn. Like there is no crossover possibility. And so I think Wyndham, the challenge Wyndham has is they span that much. Like they span that distance. Because what's their high end now? That company they bought, it starts with an S. They're super high end hotels.
Yeah.
Like no one who ever stays at one of those hotels is ever going to stay at one of the Wyndham super budget brands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
No, I completely agree with you on that. And I wonder if Marriott's going to have the same issue with Starwood. We went through the list with the brands for Marriott a couple weeks back, or a couple shows back, and we talked about which ones are going to survive, or what did Robert call it, the Deadpool or something, as to what was going to live or breathe. And there was only a couple that we thought were going to go away, but it goes back to that transition of value proposition between the membership loyalties, the user experiences, and I think a bit of where the locations are. There's going to be some duality of locations. I mean, they were competitors, and so and I'm curious as to how the franchisers are going to handle that space. I was guaranteed space. I have my designated brand space, and now you're telling me I got to share that space with who was my competitor, but now they're my frenemy on brand. What the really? Seriously? If there was already enough brand saturation issues, now I got to worry about that too. And I think Robert also had that there was a list. How many people were getting canned out of Starwood?
120.
Well, we knew it was going to come, but I mean, geez, because there was duplicities. But that Merry Christmas.
Yeah. No, I actually read the article because at first I was thinking that, like, man, I know they got delayed because of like China and the Anbang and all that stuff, but gosh, timing's bad. But if you actually read the article, it's happening end of year earliest. So like December 31st is the earliest into first quarter. Which is a good time. It's new budgets for everyone. So hiring is usually healthy at that time of year. Like that's better. I feel better about that. Listen, the Marriott Starwood merger, I no longer understand at all. Like, I understood it before the decisions were made, right? So Starwood, modern technology, actually has some iconic brands that really have no competitors, like Aloft. Like, I think Aloft is a great brand, and it could use some expansion. You know, W, I'm a fan of W. Really like those hotels. They're super hip, kind of luxury. They're that faux luxury. They're a high-end Aloft, basically. La Meridian.
Scale. They have a larger scale to them. They're not as intimate as Aloft.
Right. La Meridian, you know, is another great brand. But, you know, the thing is Marriott's chosen not to keep Starwood's tech stack, which I don't even understand.
I'm glad you brought that up. How I mean, the money that was spent on that, and the emergence of new, I mean, it's the latest thing to market on this.
And let's not forget, so Marriott's moving Starwood hotels to what is officially like a 1977.
There's a gerbil and a wheel in the bottom of Bethesda.
And I get the arguments of stability and all of that, but here's the thing. You move slow because of your tech stack, right? You have a monolithic tech stack. That's a problem.
Onion layered software.
And there's no question that it is going to be a competitive disadvantage for Marriott within the next 10 years because IHG is doing it now. Wyndham has moved over to a modern tech approach. You have Hilton. You have Hilton. You have like Hyatt. They're all investing in getting out of these monolithic tech stacks to make themselves more nimble. And Marriott had the opportunity to take all the beatings that Starwood took and save them. You know, because Valhalla was a challenging project for Starwood.
Expensive project.
Yeah. But the end result was they are done with it now. Right?
Well, my prediction is this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What I don't understand is how everyone at the top was sold that this decision to transition these hotels back to a monolithic tech stack was in the best interest of shareholders.
I look at it back into the evilness of branding. Brand doesn't want properties. I mean, even in this merger process, it was discussed that the membership value proposition and the brand ability to sell itself as a brand was the two key elements to having this diversion.
Yeah, but what happens, like, so you're a hotel owner. Like, when you start realizing the difference between Marcia and Valhalla, you know, because your product has changed, like your staffing needs have changed, all of this stuff. Like, how are you going to decide to stay?
Right. And that was the first point I was going to make, but I'll get back to it for a second. What I think, this is a prediction that I have, is that Marriott's going to double dip on revenue generation. They're going to charge everybody Starwood-wise coming into the program to move to Marcia. I mean, there's a cost for everything. That's not a freebie given. So they're going to charge everybody moving them to Marcia. They're going to take Valhalla, put it back in the back burner, and not back burner, but they're going to take it in the back of the house, put red paint on it, and they're going to change the name, and they're going to amplify whatever they thought they would like to do if they had a wish list that Valhalla still doesn't satisfy, redo the whole thing in the next 12 to 18 months, and then charge the entire Marriott system to migrate up to the new, whatever they're going to call Valhalla used to be, it's 18 to 24 months from now, and charge everybody and get a whole monetization off of that as well.
See, I don't know, man, because here's the thing. If I was a hotel owner and a brand pulled it, I wouldn't be pissed. I'd sue them.
Oh, well, they tried that once. Remember when the Renaissance deal, when the Renaissance started bleeding over on the full flag Marriotts? No, it's a different brand. It's like, no, but you're marking them ahead of us and you're marking them the same as us. It's not a
no, but this is different. Charging a hotel owner who had nothing to do with this merger, right? Who's in the middle of a contract, right? Charging them to transition technology to then, like, if they do what you're saying you think they're going to do, charging them to transition off of technology to then charge them to transition back onto it, like, that's lawsuits right there. Like,
I'm not saying that, and it may not be as simplistic as that, but I think that there's a monetization model.
But I do strongly question, and listen, we don't know the whole story. We don't know, you know, maybe Valhalla was strung together with shoelaces. We don't know. But
that price
Marriott should put out some type of official reasoning on why they are not moving to a modern tech stack in favor of going to Marcia, which Marriott has not come out, to my knowledge, that they have a new tech stack underway.
Think about it.
Right. So, like, listen, we only know what we know based on what's out in the world. If I was Marriott, I'd be out defending this decision, because what's known in the world right now is that this wasn't a decision that anyone can justify.
Somebody just drove a 2017 model Ferrari in your driveway, and you prefer to keep the 1979 Chevy Camaro, or not Camaro, now the Chevy station wagon.
Yeah, exactly.
With faux wood panel.
Starts every time, though.
It does. It runs. There's a squirrel in there somewhere. But no, I was talking about. To me, this is opportunistic for, I think, for the Hyatts, the Omnis, the Accors of the world right now. To attack while the beast is down, so to speak.
Well, and Hilton,
I'm sorry, and Hilton. I forgot. Totally Hilton. Hilton probably should be the vanguard on this one. They should be the waving of the flag, because this is a chance for franchise acquisition. This is a chance for.
If I was Hilton, I would be chasing every franchise W in Weston to come to the Hilton brand.
Rick, and I would look at every market saturation DMA that Marriott's going to overkill, and hit every market in that, saying, dudes, get some division out of this, get some space out of this, get out of that brand cycle, in a heartbeat. And then also look at the ambiguity of membership values right now. Yes, the Marriott membership people are still going to be there. I would gratis offer, and I know it's a cost to it, I would gratis offer, if I was a Hyatt or Omni or any brand that I could do a membership value for, whatever level you are, you're that level to us off the bat. And I'm not telling you to give up what you have. I'm telling you have what you have with us, and just go full at getting that data and getting that membership value proposition moved over, and say,
basically steal the value of the asset while it's up for grabs.
Exactly. Yep. When there's a question mark around it, I would be all over going into 17, pouncing on that kind of stuff. So,
well, and I also look at, like, some of this crossover is got to be a pretty difficult thing for them to deal with. Let's talk about timeshare. Marriott Vacation Club versus Sheraton Vistana. What do you do?
Yeah, you're going to be the toss-out child. I mean,
well, you don't know.
Pretty much on the outside of it anyway.
Like, here's the thing: if I was either, I'd be concerned, because you don't know which one's doing better financially, and whichever one's doing better financially, you would think is going to be the one kept. Right? Yep.
No, well, you would hope, but then again, there's also the politics of behind the scenes and the sandboxes that everybody wants to keep, and who's got the ear of the people that can make the decisions, and it's the sad part of the.
It's the tough thing about this merger is, I think they're the ugliest to come.
And I think it's about second quarter it's going to happen, because I think it's going to coincide with a little bit of what you had talked about in shows past, where as we hit that plateau, and we're still, and much people ignoring it, peak ADR, peak occupancies, when that thing begins to flatten lower, at the time that this all merger is coming around, and they're trying to do value proposition to everybody that's questioning why they should stay in the system, that's all going to kind of apex together maybe mid-year, and there's going to be some interesting decisions and bloodbaths as to who lives and survives in the infrastructures.
Well, and especially in congested markets like Orlando, there's a lot of both of their products. As it was, there's a lot of Marriott product in Orlando. And then add Starwood to that collection now. And now they're all going through the same distribution and demand system. And there's so much control at Marriott, you can't do direct deals with the OTAs and things like that. So you have nothing to try and prop up your business coming into a slowdown. Like, there's a slowdown coming. What are you going to do?
Right. Now, just remind me with the Orlando, with the redemptions for membership points, is it still astronomically high in the brand systems for Orlando? Because I'm thinking like in a Hawaii scenario.
I have no clue. I know nothing about that side of the industry.
That's Robert next time we talk to him.
Yeah.
Because Hawaii, independents thrive because brand isn't the real reason. It's too dang expensive to redeem in that environment for brand. And it's too costly for ownership out there to have a brand overhead when they can do much better marginalizing themselves as an independent, because their destination is locked.
I mean, there's quite a bit of brand in Orlando. I wouldn't call this like a a destination that's heavy in independence. And I think part of it
should be a migration off of a brand. Would people step away from brand and saying, you know what, I'm in effing Orlando, I'm down from the main gate, I don't need to carry a XYZ brand above my head.
You do. Okay. And here's the problem. If you're in one of the dying areas, like 192, main gate east, stuff like that, you need the brand's help. You just do, because some of that product is questionable. And the way you show that you're not questionable is to be flying a flag that has standards. iDrive's a bit different. iDrive's gone through kind of a resurgence, quality's coming back into that area. You are seeing more independents like Paramount, Floridays, and things like that. But again, I think about Kessler. So Kessler, who had some of the most interesting properties out there, was also the first independent hotelier to become an autograph. I'd be mad. I'd be so mad right now at this merger. I really would, because now, and he's concentrated Orlando, Asheville, he's getting extra inventory thrown into his markets, and his hotels are the ones who kind of, I think, set the standard for what an autograph is. And now he's in a much bigger pool. I don't know. I'm wondering what his conversations are with the Marriott folks about this.
As also with now the brands are getting tighter about what you can use as outside resources, and they're expanding their guidelines as to what you're able to be doing on platforms that used to not have guidelines for. And I'm speaking specifically about social, really, that they're getting much more no, there's a fence around that now. No, you got to stay inside the wall here. You can't be doing that outside stuff with these things. And they're only going to get harder and harder. I mean, Marriott's putting everything through the Marriott digital marketing program now, where they used to allow third parties. Now the third parties are supporting them. There's a lot of transitions and changes in 17. And you're right. I think there's a lot of franchise ownerships that are going to look and say, wait, whoa. Is it really still being the benefit that I thought I bought? So, yeah.
Another interesting topic, since it seems like we're probably out of stuff to talk about, is, Marriott did this whole thing on building their own production studio to do high quality content creation and stuff.
Awesome studio, actually.
Yeah, well, when you spend that much money.
Yeah, no shit.
But here's the thing. So hey, he's back.
I'm back.
That was quick.
Well, that's how we do these Focusrite
things. There's jokes here. There's jokes here.
So you quickly found out that all you can ask him is how he's doing today, right?
That's right. How's the weather?
I can't talk about the weather.
No, what we decided was we were going to do the talkback session, like a presidential debate. So every question we ask him, his answer is going to be Marriott sucks. Their PR person didn't think that we would actually do that, but everyone, thought that would have been an equivalent manner of doing it. So anyway,
that's amazing.
Anyway, Ed, go ahead.
So we were talking about, I was bringing up a topic that kind of popped into my head. So BMW recently released a movie, and it's their version of content creation. And I would love to see a side-by-side comparison of Marriott's best versus what BMW just put out.
Yeah, I haven't seen the BMW movie, so
it's really good. It's actually really good. I want to see it made out to more of a movie. I'd like to see them put the story before and after this.
Escape. Oh, so it's an escape film type.
It's basically a car chase.
Right. Yep. That's great.
And Clive Owen and a couple other famous actors and actresses are in this. It's really well written. The production quality is really high.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing commercial for a 5 Series.
Yeah.
You just reminded me to go peek at something. Remember the 2 Bellman the Marriott put together, which was their key launch of their studio? I lost track because I lost interest, and I just wanted to see whether they carried it after the last thing I saw, and they didn't. It's been stone cold since 15.
Really?
Oh, really?
And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be the beginning, to your point, Ed, at the beginnings of, hey, we need visual content. This is a great way we're going to introduce our product by creating a pseudo storyline. And they haven't. They did what they did in 15, and it hasn't moved.
Well, wait, no, because I just did a search for 2 Bellman, And I see two.
Yeah.
I see two Bellman 2 and two Bellman 3.
Yeah.
Where I'm missing that one. Hold on. I got two Bellman at Marriott.
Well, I went to YouTube.
Oh, film 1, film 2. Okay, I'm on the Marriott one, and
yeah. Now, what's interesting is, they have two Bellman. What's the official channel that it's under? Is it the two? It is the two Bellman channel, right? It's
Feb 15, 16. I apologize. If it get ready Dubai, Feb 15, 216 is a last one I have here.
Yeah, I'm just looking at channel. Wait a second.
I mean, great viewership. They're almost 8 million. It's not them saying there was a failure in any sense of what they did. I just, to your point, Ed, I thought that they were. This was the beginning of a studio level machine of stuff that was going to be rolling out.
Well, that's interesting because I think what was the French one? The French one was actually very good too. That was the
Paris one.
The Paris, yeah.
That's in there,
but it's not under two Bellman. It's interesting. So I think that's.
So Darlene emailed me whose profile image was of, and it's of an award for the world's largest belt buckle, and it's an ESPN Texas belt buckle.
Okay, right. There we go.
That must have been the second one, not the yellow one, but the other one, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the yellow one is.
I don't know what the other one is either. Yeah. No, but
it's
now,
like
French Kiss for Marriott. French Kiss, interestingly, is under the Marriott brand, so it's not under. Yeah, it's just in there with the general.
So anyways, I'd like to start putting out comparisons. Okay, so Marriott's invested a ton of money. Let's start comparing them to other industries that are doing similar types of things. And when I saw the BMW one, I looked at it, and when I was done with it, I wanted more story.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it sold the crap out of their product.
Oh yeah.
I was envious of the fact that I didn't live in New York or San Jose at the time. I had enough traffic on my YouTube sites that I could go to the YouTube studios and produce if I wanted to. And I visited the New York one at the Google place when I was out there with the HSMI when they did their America's Board or some meeting I was at with them. And we went to the studios there. Crazy what Google has thrown into those studios. I mean, you can get red box cameras. They got the whole lighting kit, power, audio. I mean, state-of-the-art stuff. And it goes back to, there's not a lot of stuff that's really being produced for them that people are taking advantage of. I mean, there's a lot of brands that have enough traffic level they could take advantage of using those studios, but nobody's still really getting into the idea of those storyboard stuff. Like you're talking about, Ed. Okay, you invested in this. Marriott invested in this grand studio. Yeah. This should be a machine. I mean, it should be.
Well, they bought high-end talent and running just from a production standpoint, right? Kind of the producers who are developing the films, and then they're bringing in some good either indie or kind of smaller filmmakers. But what's interesting is if you look at French Kiss, I think they've made a little bit of a mistake of putting that two Bellman under its own heading, because it's really kind of isolated from the rest of the Marriott stuff. French Kiss is over there just under the Marriott videos, but I think there's in terms of the quality of the film being made, it's great. But you look at it, French Kiss got over 6 million views. Okay, so that's pretty good. But then you start looking at the trailer. Okay, that got 780,000 views. You go, okay, French Kiss official behind the scenes clip 1, 2,400. Behind the scenes clip 2.
So that was just the Marriott team.
Yeah, it was the Marriott team looking at their own product.
But here's the scary one: French Kiss official, the making of French Kiss, right? Which is normally one of the things that you do, and here's how we did it. 848 views.
So wait, what was their best?
Well, French Kiss, the actual video was over 6 million, right?
How long has it been up?
The Dubai one on the twobellman.marriott.com was almost 8 million. The Dubai one.
Okay. So BMW on the Escape in 1 week.
Yeah.
3,000,099.
Right. Yeah, and that's 6 million on the French Kiss one since over a year. Right. Which isn't bad. I mean,
it's
but all the talent.
But here's the thing I'd like to find out. I'd like to find out has anyone done an ROI analysis?
Right. That's what I was asking. What did it really do at the end of the day? You know,
right?
What did it drive?
Well, no, not just that. Like even if you can put a value on views, right?
Right.
So has anyone done a cost per view analysis? So what do we think that costs to produce and put together, and all of that stuff, and then how's that compared to a cost per viewer?
Right. Yeah. Well, and I really think it's a problem where there's not a Marriott destination where you can see these, and they're kind of cross. I mean, I would think Two Bellman would have some crossover appeal to French Kiss or some of these other ones that they've done, at least for people going, oh, these are kind of cool little videos. They're done by that, whatever. But they seem to be siloed off, which I'd have to question that strategy. I don't know. Maybe that's intentional, but I would think they want to get numbers up. And again, if their ROI, I'm not sure how many of these are translating into specific bookings at either the LA property or the Dubai property for Two Bellman or the what is it, the JW Champs.
I mean, here's the thing I want to point out, the difference in commitment to it. Go to marriott.com and show me where they're even presenting this stuff on the homepage, and then go to bmwusa.com.
Right.
And literally the hero image is BMW Films presents The Escape.
Right.
Then there's learn more about the 5 series. Then it's about films and behind scenes. And then it's models.
Right. Yeah. And what's interesting is, yes, BMW has a variety of cars, but they can go 3 series, 5 series, 7 series, that sort of thing. Marriott's got 30 brands, right? So now they've got a mess on their hands for how do they really, message this stuff out. And, if you are looking at just this big movie for one of the brands, for one property, well, that's not paying off. Right. I mean, just for the Paris property, that is not how they worked up the ROI. I can assure you.
If anybody from Marriott's listening to our show that has any influence on any of this stuff, I would say look at what Snapchat's doing for their mini movie series and how they want to do mini movie stuff, and see how they could take all this investment that they did this studio in, and if they have 5 of their 30 flavors of brands going for millennials anyway, and see how they can do micro movie series that can go into the Snapchat world.
And I would even say Snapchat's been very hot, but they're starting to fall a little bit out of favor. You start looking at what Instagram's doing, people doing little movies. Apparently, the traffic on Instagram is 5 to 8-fold for some of these things.
And that's because Facebook's pushing with that. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
But here's the thing. Like, again, Instagram versus Snapchat. Until Snapchat can crack discovery, they're just dead. They're dead at sea. Like, they lost their oars and they're screwed. And
you have to find them. You have to find what it is that you're interested in. It isn't being given to you to be discovered. Absolutely.
Right. And so that's until they crack that. And it's a pity because I love their UI.
Yeah.
Like, I really do.
And the spectacles thing is really interesting. They're doing really
dumb. The spectacle things.
No, but I think
gimmicky.
No, but I think in terms of yes, everybody wearing them, no, sort of thing. But I think it's kind of a clever thing to be innovative and kind of go, hey, see, here's where here's what we're doing and moving things forward. But they're a relatively small, unicorn out there. They're getting attention for it. But.
I'm going to disagree with you, Ed, slightly. One, I agree with you. I think it's stupid in its current iteration. Mm-hmm. 2, I think it's incredibly interesting in its potential exposure of usable, wearable engagement acceptability for certain types of people. I think that it's one of those things that it's like Pokemon in itself, nothing, but what it leads to potentially, even if it's not even close to its same iteration, I think is valuable, because I think if people are comfortable with the idea of always on, like they are with holding phones up and taking selfies and things that are going on and Facebook Lives and everything else, and then wearing it on your face makes that whole experience an easier engagement. I think it has a value proposition if people accept that idea.
I think the spectacles do look goofy and everything, but they still look a lot better than Google Cardboard.
Very true.
They priced them well, so it looks like they're going to be about $130. So they're going to be a novelty gift.
Oh yeah,
but
absolutely.
That's the thing. Like, it's novelty.
Right.
It's not. It's going to be a flash in the pan for Snapchat. Like, and here's the problem: you're Snapchat. You're heading towards an IPO.
You're Snap Inc.
Right, but you're heading towards IPO. Okay.
Yep.
Do you want your IPO to go like Twitter's, or do you want it to go like Facebook's?
Right.
Well, history shows us whose works out better.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Facebook, they're a serious company.
And Google is a serious company.
Yeah, but here's even the difference between Facebook and Google, right? And I know Facebook's nowhere near Google yet. Facebook hasn't made a misstep.
No.
Even when they were strongly questioned on their decisions, they really haven't made a misstep from a product perspective, from knowing what the consumers want, you know, all of this. Twitter, Google is just rife with.
I think a little bit until Facebook turns into the pace setter and not the follower. I think that's always going to be a safe thing to say, because there's going to be somebody else to screw up ahead of them.
Here's the thing, like, so Google's like key source of revenue is ad revenue, and Facebook has completely disrupted that business for them. I mean, yes, they're still growing, but they're no longer 70%, 80% of the entire economy of ad revenue online.
Right.
They're 50%, and Facebook is the other 50%.
And Facebook is getting around all the ad blocking and everything like that too.
Right.
In terms of their model, I mean, they've been very clever.
And then let's look at investment. Like, yeah, Oculus. You know, I still don't see where they're going with it, but I will say, like, Oculus, I think is a far more interesting investment than like Google Glass was. Right. Right, because Oculus will have a strong gaming, you know, following, and the gaming industry is just a great industry to. It's like the racing industry is the car.
Well, and I think Google's getting more disciplined in terms of what their, you know, those 20% projects, right? Which for a lot were really driving a lot of interest, and they spent. You know, Google's tradition, and I think it's now set a lot of people off. They go, well, are they going to pull the plug on it? Right? Even if it's something really big and it looks great and it's got traction, that it might not be, you know, big enough or great enough or whatever, and it gets, you know, it gets.
So we can look in January, and you guys can tell me I'm wrong when the spectacles turns into the biggest thing since sliced bread for Snapchat.
Oh no,
I just don't see it happening.
No.
I don't think people are not going to be wandering around. I think it's
a gateway item. I think it's a gateway item. I think it's a introduction to.
I think that's what they want it to be. It's not. Like, it is a cheesy thing that like only the geeky people in the room are going to wear, and it's not going to be cool.
It's going to be people wearing whatever to parties, and it's not going to be people wearing them around.
Robert, I think what Ed is telling us is that we are not getting Snapchatting classes for Christmas this year. I think that's what boiled down.
I said who they were for. And I'm all about giving appropriate gifts to people.
That's right. Lauren is hoping.
We're in.
To the one that's got the upgraded Bluetooth headset.
Lauren is hoping.
With the long armature? Do you want one with a long mouthpiece to it? That really stands out well.
Now, Ed, you've got to realize this is all Lauren's plan. So people who are planning on giving you the spectacles now know to give them to Lauren instead. So.
That's right. I have switched the presents list is over to me now.
No, and I don't think they're prescriptions, so I'm not in the market.
Well, see, this is the continuance of the problem of the medium that they chose. I think Google proved the problem with that medium.
It's creepy.
It's creepy. You won't be allowed in certain public areas with them, and theirs are more obvious than Google Glasses were. Google Glass had the problem. People don't like the idea that they could be getting filmed unknown to them. Like, that's the other side of this, like, that a lot of people didn't talk about with the Google Glass thing, but you're going to hear it with the Snapchat thing because it's more obvious that someone's wearing them. At least when someone's filming you on a phone,
you can tell.
There's a signal.
They're following you.
my favorite was the I don't know if it was an early Funny or Die video, but somebody did the two people out on the date with the guy wearing Google Glass, and he's and because it's a voice interface, right? He's kind of subtly tying in these voice cues to try to pull up information so he can speak about relevant topics that his date's going to like.
That's amazing.
It's really fun.
Listen, I think it's going to go down as a misstep for Snapchat releasing those at this time. Like,
I'm not saying it's going to be a benefit for Snapchat. I'm not going to disagree that it could be just a flash in the pan of a bad step of something that's going to get kicked out like Google Glasses were and so forth. But I do think it's in the Pokemon genre of it's going to have its flash. It's going to make people wonder whether or not there's a means of doing something different.
I don't think it's going to be a Pokemon Go type thing.
I'm doing that not on scale, but on perception of this is something different to look at in a different way. It's a disruptor of concept. It's not a disruptor financially. I don't think it's going to be a game changer, earth changer, nothing like that. But I do think it has a potential to make people pause and say, is there a different way of doing this?
Yeah.
So
I think it's gimmicky.
It gives us fodder for future shows. We get to go and say,
there might be a show in January. That you think I am no longer the visionary because I didn't see Snapchat whatever this.
No. My comment was that just they were being innovative with things like that. Not that that's going to be a big pillar of their future.
And the worst thing that Robert and I could do is if they're selling like hotcakes and the new thing and all this stuff is to gloat about it, because if you sit by the river long enough, the body of your enemy will float by, and there will be 2 weeks later, it'll be like wow, that flopped like Pokemon, and we're going to be
they all on fire.
I called the Pokemon. I called the Pokemon thing from day one. That just that was grossly obvious.
Talk about conspiracy theories. Did you see now they're posting out there that all Samsung products have battery issues? That there's a case that it was in the news here in Dallas that somebody's putting a class action that all the batteries, not just the Note ones, but all batteries have a history of potential destruction, just like the Note. The Note's just the most recent iteration of it. There's a law firm here trying to get class action started on that.
I'm sure there is.
It is a good time to be Apple.
Isn't it though? You got to figure they might even handing cash out, going, "Hey, little class action over here."
Yeah.
Well, actually, what's really interesting is Google. Have you seen Google's ads for the Pixel? I mean, they're like Apple ads. They've got the really music, they've got the thing, they've got kind of the off, and it's just like
notice the goggle, the whole VR thing they're doing too. They're pushing that hard too.
Yeah, hey, I think Pixel is going to go down as a really good move for Google.
Yeah, I'm going to get one, but the one that I need is really, it's the same thing they did last time when I got my Nexus 6. Really hard to get the one that you want. It's probably be January until they have enough supply of it. But.
Well, I mean, being an Apple person that I am, I haven't gone to the 7, and I only have a 6. I don't even have a 6S. I just don't see the value proposition of going to the 7.
No,
great camera, faster processor.
I'll tell you exactly what the 7 is for Apple. They are testing some key changes that they're preparing for in the 8, and they're getting everyone used to it. And so that's why there was such a limited amount of changes. They wanted to get rid of that stupid headphone jack and get everyone over that drama. And then they wanted to get rid of the mechanical home button.
Yeah.
And that's really what this was. Like, they just wanted to get that out of the way. So that way, when the 8 comes, no one's going to be talking about how it has, because I'm willing to bet you the 8 has no ports.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Well, I'm wondering whether it would have a support of USB-C. I thought that would be a major something.
I guarantee you that the 8 has no ports.
Yeah. And my understanding is, who the hell knows, right? But it's basically going to be inductive charging and things like that, where, there's nothing to plug in.
No, that has to be that. Yeah. Well, I'm also hoping that I get to hold it out and Princess Leia pops up and goes, "Oh, look, Obi-Wan, we need your help. I want the holograph, man."
That's the iPhone 10.
Okay, all right. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, gentlemen, we hit all the topics I had, except for the rising cost of OTAs, but that's always a dialogue.
What a deceptive sounding article. I was really excited about it on the tagline. I'm like, oh man, like, is something new going on?
Good clickbait.
The cost.
Nice headline.
Yeah, seriously. Like, my gosh, like the additional cost of virtual cards, like, really? really.
That's circa 2002.
Yeah.
It was a byline. I grabbed it because of the head. Actually, you hit it right away. I brought it in there. It's like, all right, guys, they keep doing this gloom and doom thing, but it's really nothing more than the same statement that's been made for year in and year out. And this was no reason to create the fervor for it. But anyway, that's
like this is one of those articles that should be on one of those sites that you have to keep hitting next after every sentence.
Oh yeah,
because exactly. I'm reading it. I'm like, okay,
page views. I'm
like, okay, I like this is an old topic. Like, where's the meat of the rising costs? Like, this was about virtual cards. Okay.
Yeah. Just to wrap up, one thing that Darlene had originally asked as a question that I just wanted to throw it because I do have a different answer than what we provided her at the time was, I believe that there for 17 in the sense of digital trends is for digital marketing trends to integrate with revenue management trends to integrate with operational trends, that there's a convergence of usability of digital marketing in revenue management. And I mean, not in collaboration of just, positions and resource. I'm talking about actual technical integrations where there will be more digital data into revenue management.
I hope, because then it'll be easier for us to sell Flip too, because that's one of the challenges we have right now is we cross over revenue, we cross over operations, we cross over marketing. And it feels like a lot of times when we're talking to hotels, this is the first time these people have ever gotten together and look at one thing.
Right. It is, and that is the big problem. They've been so siloed off. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're talking just from a pure management strategy perspective, right? Yeah. I mean, in terms of, going back to what you're saying at the beginning, what's your strategy sort of thing? They got 3 different ones that may not be completely aligned.
Right.
Which is, horrible for the operation. And then, you get there with a tool that can help them. And it's like, what are you going to plug into? It's like you've got 3 different things that are trying to, that aren't working together.
So I hope that's one of the key trends, because that'll make it easier for us to be talking to hotels. Sometimes it's hard to be early.
The how, that's right. The how, though, is very challenging for those hotels. I mean, I
have a great resource for that. We actually wrote an ebook called Revparhacking, talking about how.
You have one, really?
Yeah. Did you never see Revparhacking?
No.
Oh.
I thought Tim Peter had written that and it was on.
Let me pull the blog link. I'll put up the link for Revparhacking. We actually Hilton was part of the case study of the ebook because they do practice kind of that meshing of revenue and marketing together in their decisions and everything.
Yeah, please throw that up.
I gotta find the link. I
got the link. I got it right here. I'll post it.
Yeah, so Revparhacking really came up because we were studying why our higher performing customers were higher performing. Mm-hmm. And what we found that was consistent in all of them was the person or the people that we were working with were dual expertise.
Right.
And, so they were revenue and marketing. And so then when we also started looking at ones that they weren't dual, they had a title of e-commerce. And we found that a lot of the e-commerce people we work with have a revenue background.
Yeah.
So, so again, we just saw this whole, it's there you go. I'm sorry, you do have to register for it.
Yeah.
But listen, when you read it, you'll see that we put a ton of work into it. And, and there's a ton of good walkaways on the different types of approaches to getting more aligned between revenue and marketing and what are the benefits of it and how are some teams working, to get there. And I'll tell you, all of our top performing hotels on our platform, it's a revenue minded marketing strategy.
Yep. Well, and I only have to critique this this ebook on one. You missed a huge opportunity with the co-sponsorship with Nickelodeon. You could have really gone with the whole slime theme and loud graphics, but it's okay.
Tony Aslanian, who was the person we studied from, Nickelodeon, is now with Benchmark. He's got a great new property he's planning for them in Orlando called The Grove. That's going to be such a cool property.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's massive. It's when it's fully open, it'll be 900 condos.
Yee.
So think about the footprint of a property that's 900 2- and 3-bedroom condos.
Well, they're 2- and 3-bedroom. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So they're a 2,000 to 3,000 room property.
What's their distribution strategy? Purely flip to 100% flip to? Is that the?
No, they're smart. No, Tony's sharp, man. Like they actually, so they're opening in February, and they don't have a choice because he already backsold like a ton of groups into the house because it's a great group venue. It's 3 miles from Disney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mega resort. Yeah.
That would be great for families and groups of families and all sorts of Yeah,
because their bigger 3-bedroom is like 1,700 square feet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, with full kitchens and washer and dryer and everything. Like, great. It's going to be an amazing property.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a good read because we've been revenue minded. And it's funny when we do talk to revenue managers first, and they're like, wow, all the things to talk to me about. It's like, well, we're revenue managers. Like, most of the background of Flip2 comes from revenue and distribution strategy. A little bit of operations.
And I think that underlines the point that Lauren was making, getting this stuff together, because the days of talking about Marriott's content studio, they're doing great stuff, but if it doesn't tie back into, I think we've covered it very well. So what is your strategy? What's your objective and your goal? Yeah. What are you doing? And does this really, can we measure the results and have it really, have it proven out, and then have it repeatable where you can go do it? That's what you got to do.
Right.
So,
yep. Right.
One last thing before we go. I had a very interesting session with Wayblazer, with Terry Jones and Felix LeBoy and things like that earlier this week. And power of Watson is pretty interesting in terms of hotels looking at customizing the photos and stuff. I mean, they're really doing some very interesting stuff to dynamically personalize these pages, and they're just doing, I think they're being pretty smart. They're just doing baby steps. It'll be very interesting to see what their path is in terms of selling into companies, though. That's going to be really interesting. I don't know. I think they're going to wind up hitting kind of these smaller hotel groups and things like, because what they do is probably too sophisticated for a lot of these major brands.
The challenge
want to roll it out across everybody, right?
Well, the challenge with it is if you're using your stock photography for the dynamic personalization, that means you actually have to start planning your photography sessions to speak to specific segments of your business. Yeah. So why is that a problem? Because that doesn't sound that hard. Well, it's a problem because trying to convince a hotel to hire a photographer on a regular basis.
Also, the divergence stuff you're talking about. It was like going back to my app complaint I had about doing for in-room menus. I mean, you start looking at all the variables in each of the topics, and you get into crazy rabbit holes.
Yeah. Oh no, and it's really, really powerful, because if you're looking at romantic, it goes and looks at your photography and goes, that's a palm tree, that's a beach, that's a couple. Boom, all of a sudden it figures that out. And if you search 2 people and doing whatever, yes, it comes up. But you need all of that kind of developed and built out, which is, again, going back to the whole strategy of not just tossing the stuff in and having it go. But pretty powerful stuff in terms of pulling up what reviews are relevant to those people. And again, more of like a, because it's based on Watson, that's just a brand. I mean, so that's the thing is basing it on Watson. So we've been testing all the photography AI that everyone offers. Yeah. So we run all of our guest stories through AI. Right. We've selected 2 to expose to hotels to start getting their heads around it, but we're still running more in the background, and of course storing it. So as we do unveil it to them on how to use it, they have the benefit of years worth of data stored.
But I mean, Watson versus Google's versus Microsoft's versus, you know, somebody.
No, it's not the tool. It's I think what Wayblazer is trying to do, and who knows if they'll be successful or not, they're trying to really develop their travel schema, right? So they can do this for destinations and properties. And again, the network effect is pretty tremendous. Once you start, you know, getting this going, if you do a good job, it gets very, very which is obviously what their play is. And IBM has money in them and things like that.
Right.
So
but the Watson part of AI, like, it's branding. Like,
right. Yeah.
You know, Watson's impressive, and IBM was smart to be early in developing that. Now
Google stuff's amazing.
Now they're monetizing it. But here's the thing, like, through the AIs that we're processing, like, sure, we know the approximate age and gender of every person in a photo. We know all the contents of a photo. So if it's got food in it, if it's got drinks in it, if it's got celebrities in it, you know, if it's all of that is the easy stuff. The stuff that's interesting that we're trying to figure out how to do something with it is all the stuff we haven't exposed yet to the hotels, but we are storing, which is the expression on people's faces and what their actual emotion is in the photo.
They're happy.
No. It's not like that. It's like they're 10% happy, 33% surprised, 4% disdain. Like, and then so
it's multiple people in the image, and one's really happy and the other's not.
Right. And then tying it together. So we've already started tying together what to do with the fact that we know the gender and age is to actually put reasoning behind it to say that, when you have 4 people standing together with, you know, spanning age ranges of X, then you can